Thank you for joining us. I'm Roshan Gidwani, Phillip Capital's media host and presenter. Good morning. Welcome to the Daily Morning Note. The Straits Times Index, STI, fell 0.3% or 9.55 points to close at 3,227.53 points on Tuesday, November 23rd, as sentiment wavered due to a faster than expected rise in Singapore's headline inflation. The Consumer Price Index, CPI, jumped 3.2% year on year in October, crossing the 3% mark for the first time since March 2013. This was higher than the Bloomberg median forecast of a 2.9% increase. Next up. The Nasdaq ended lower for a second straight session on Tuesday, while the S&P 500 rose as rising Treasury yields prompted investors to sell Tesla and other big tech names and buy stocks with lower valuations. The S&P 500 Growth Index dipped 0.3% and the Value Index climbed 0.8%. Treasury yields extended gains as investors ramped up expectations of interest rate hikes next year after Jerome Powell was nominated by President Joe Biden as Fed chair for a second term. The Dow Jones Industrial Average rose 0.55% to end at 35,813.8 points, while the S&P 500 gained 0.17% to 4,690.7. The Nasdaq Composite dropped 0.5% to 15,775.14. In Singapore, Singapore's Housing and Development Board, HDB, has issued Singapore dollars 1 billion worth of 5-year notes carrying a fixed coupon rate of 1.645% per annum. The notes, rated AAA by Fitch Ratings, were issued on November 23rd and will mature on November 23rd, 2026. They are in denomination of Singapore dollars 250,000 and offered by way of placement to investors. Coupon payments are payable semi-annually in arrears. The notes are issued under HDB's Singapore dollars 32 billion multi-currency medium-term note program, which allows the statutory board to issue notes to finance development programs and working capital requirements, as well as to refinance the existing borrowings. Next up, Temasek's 5-year Singapore dollar bond issue has been upsized to Singapore dollars 500 million from the Singapore dollars 350 million initially proposed, in view of demand from retail investors. The offer received Singapore dollars 1.54 billion in bids from institutional, accredited, and other specified investors, amounting to a subscription rate of about 6.2 times its placement tranche. The public offer, which closed on November 22nd, received valid applications totaling about Singapore dollars 649 million, representing a subscription rate of 2.6 times the final public offer size. The upsized offering for T2026 Singapore dollars Temasek bond will comprise a placement of Singapore dollars 250 million of bonds to institutional, accredited, and other specified investors, and another Singapore dollars 250 million of bonds to retail investors, Temasek said in a bourse filing on Tuesday, November 23rd. The bond is expected to be issued on November 24th, with trading expected to begin on November 25th at 9 a.m. Moving on. Mooring Solutions provider Mooreast Holdings shares for its initial public offering, IPO, were subscribed by 1.3 times, the company said in a bourse filing on Tuesday, November 23rd. Total gross proceeds of about Singapore dollars 8.5 million were raised from some 39 million invitation shares at Singapore dollars 0.22 each. These include a public offer of 800,000 shares and 38.1 million shares by way of placement. Placees include Lion Global Investors, FIME Asset Management, and ICH Capital. At the close of the public offer at noon on Tuesday, there were 268 valid applications amounting to 13.8 million shares worth Singapore dollars 3 million, resulting in the public tranche being about 17.3 times subscribed. Mooreast has also received pre IPO funding from Singapore based global investor EDBI. Next up, in the US, delivery company DoorDash is paying more than US dollars 5 million to settle an investigation by San Francisco into alleged labor law violations, with the bulk of the money going to delivery workers, the city attorney said on Monday, November 22nd. DoorDash will pay more than US dollars 5.3 million under the agreement, San Francisco City Attorney David Chu said in a statement. About US dollars 5.1 million will go to the nearly 4,500 DoorDash workers who completed deliveries in San Francisco between 2016 and 2020. DoorDash did not admit any wrongdoing as part of the settlement, and in a statement said it was proud of the flexible earning opportunities it offered. While we deny any wrongdoing, we feel that this settlement represents a fair compromise that will allow us to focus on continuing to provide the best experience for Dashers, the company said. The city opened a formal investigation into DoorDash in 2019 after media reports said the company was using customer tips to subsidize workers' base pay. Next up, U.S. business activity slowed moderately in November amid labor shortages and raw material delays, contributing to prices continuing to soar halfway through the fourth quarter. Data firm IHS Markit said on Tuesday its flash U.S. Composite PMI output index, which tracks the manufacturing and services sectors, fell to a reading of 56.5 in mid November from 57.6 in October. A reading above 50 indicates growth in the private sector. The rate of growth remains above the survey's long run pre pandemic average and is consistent with an economy that is regaining steam after a brief lull in the summer. The services sector accounted for the pullback in activity, with IHS Markit noting some resistance to higher prices. Though many firms reported business was strong because of increased travel, both domestic and international, as well as the further easing of COVID-19 restrictions, the pace of growth slowed relative to previous months. Next up, Apple sued spyware maker NSO on Tuesday for targeting the users of its devices, saying the Israeli firm at the center of the Pegasus surveillance scandal needs to be held to account. The suit from the Silicon Valley giant adds new trouble for NSO, which was engulfed in controversy over reports that tens of thousands of activists, journalists, and politicians were listed as potential targets of its Pegasus spyware. U.S. authorities just weeks ago restricted relations between NSO and American groups over allegations the Israeli firm enabled foreign governments to conduct transnational repression. That's about it from me. Thank you.